What do you make of this current maelstrom around immigration in the United States?
First of all, thanks for having me on the show. And let me start answering that question by actually saying that the premise of your show is very appropriate for this topic, because when we talk about immigration, if you look at the evidence, it's not one of those issues where you have to kind of go look for what could be right? And you find, 5% of it is right. Like almost all of it is right and good for us. And yet it's like, it's sunny and 68 outside, but the way we talk about the issue is as if there were a giant storm and a hurricane is coming, right? And so the disconnect between what reality is and how we talk about it is really disconcerting. And so what do I make of it? I think, that would be my first answer. It's disconcerting when you actually know the truth, meaning the empirical truth. But it's also not new. Immigration is an issue that's politically very advantageous to frame it negatively. It always mobilizes a certain percentage of voters, and a non-trivial percentage. And so it works. The reason is that it's politically effective to speak negatively about it. And, we're at a time where for a bunch of the convergence of a bunch of historical and economic reasons, it's been very advantageous for certain parties to frame it negatively. And like you said, not just here in the US, but all over the world.
Well, Zeke, you definitely opened up the quintessential what could go right question, which is, hearing that it's really sunny and 68 outside is music to our ears. So why don't you tell us why that's the case? I mean, why the impact of immigration is so positive, even though I guess the reputation, quote unquote, is the opposite.
Well, I would say, an easy place to start is let's look at economic effects, right? How does immigration affect us economically, not immigrants, but us? You could think of five key ingredients, five key inputs that a successful, prosperous, vibrant economy needs, okay? And those inputs are investment, innovation, job creation, talent, and taxes. You want those five inputs, right? Without that, an economy struggles to thrive. And the evidence of, decades and decades of research is that immigrants contribute positively to all five of those key ingredients. Without them, we would have not just less of them, we would have less of a variety of those key ingredients. And we would be poorer, we would be worse off. And then to that, we could add all the sort of cultural contributions that make our communities more interesting to live in, that make our food more delicious, that make our music more entertaining, etc. So I'm happy to get into any one of those specifically, but that's kind of my overview answer. So it's really sunny and 68, right? Immigrants bring us all these good things.
So one pushback, and we can get into the question of illegal immigration a little later in the conversation, but one of the pushbacks I've heard, and it's a little hard to know what's real in all these pushbacks and questions, is that the legal immigration system, because it hasn't really had much updating since the mid-'80s, is also really not functioning optimally, and that it's becoming the lottery for visas is such a small number once you factor out the ones that are taken up by family members. And then there's, HB1 visas, there's student visas, there's professional visas, but that it's actually getting unduly hard to legally immigrate to the United States relative to the past, relative to need, and relative to the many, not only the many benefits, just how much of American society is essentially constructed by immigration, but a seemingly broad range of American support for legal immigration. Again, we can get to the question about illegal immigration, non-documented immigration, but where do we stand with that question?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, sort of the issue of legal and illegal immigration are inseparable, because the problems and all the dysfunctions in the legal system that you started to mention are the main cause of the amount of illegal immigration. You mentioned that we haven't updated our system since the 80s. The accurate date really is 1990. 1990 was the last reform in U.S. history where we updated not so much the types, but more the quantity, the number of people that could come through different visa types, family reunification, employment, etc. And we haven't updated it since then. So it's been nearly 35 years. The economy has more than doubled in size, by the way, right? So from $9 trillion to $25 trillion. And we didn't allow enough immigrants, even in 1990, for the number of people that we needed for all kinds of reasons back then. So the system was outdated off the bat, and now it's been 35 years and we haven't updated it. And so just to give you a few facts and figures that are very telling. We give 1 million green cards a year. 2/3 of those green cards go to people that are coming for family reunification. Only 15%, actually less than 15%, are employment-based green cards, right? And so if you're running a business in this country, it is impossible to hire all the talent that you need. You just cannot get it. The temporary work visas like H-1B, H-2A, H-2B can't keep up. In our green card system, out of that 15% of green cards that go for employment-based purpose, only 5,000 go to people that don't have a college degree, right? And so if you own a factory, a farm, what else? A construction site. I mean, you name it. You need home care. I can assure you that my state of Pennsylvania by itself needs way more than 5,000 legal foreign workers who don't have a college degree. So all of that decrepit, outdated, insufficient system means that the need for people is so much higher than the supply in our legal system that creates an incentive for illegal or irregular immigration, right? People come in knowing that they're going to find work. Businesses either turn a blind eye or don't even know that they're hiring someone that's here without authorization. So it's our own fault that we have illegal immigration. And so you want to take care of better legal system and illegal immigration simultaneously. We just have to update the legal system.